What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. And I'm just here to remind you that legacy media is trash. If you've been following the Dave Chappelle story since he released his comedy special on Netflix, angry anti-comedian folks on Twitter and in the legacy media have been unfairly condemning the man for making jokes that, at worst, you could say they didn't find funny, which is fine. I don't laugh at every joke Dave Chappelle makes, even though I think he's one of the last great comedians out there. I don't laugh at every joke Norm Macdonald makes, although it's pretty dang close. But that wouldn't stop the media from essentially weaponizing the passing of a trans actress and activist who also, they won't tell you this, was his friend. The New York Daily News ran this ridiculous piece where it says, trans actress, activist, comedian Daff Dorman, referenced in the Dave Chappelle's transphobic Netflix special, self-deletes. What do you think that headline is implying? Well, first of all, nobody would probably know who this person is if not for their association with Dave Chappelle. And it's safe to say that she would not have wanted anyone to blame Dave for this. But of course, that's not the narrative that the New York Daily News wants to portray. This first paragraph or sentence, it's clear to me that they're trying to weaponize this against Dave Chappelle. Hours before her passing, she posted what appears to be a goodbye message on Facebook. And of course, the replies are exactly as you would expect. She supported him and was laughing at those jokes. He mentioned her in the extras that they became friends, and she was happy with it. And you frame it like this, using her passing to try and take out someone she actually liked. Journalists are less than people. Dave Chappelle is a tired comedian who used cheap, outdated shots at an attempt to humor. His ignorant and simple-minded base can keep his hate, which he barely disguises as jokes. One favorite, probably self-favorited. And of course, you get a lot of the crazy blue check marks in there. But people on Twitter, like Robert Spooks, I wonder if Dave Chappelle still thinks that Daff Dorman was laughing the hardest at his mean-spirited jokes. Answer is, it doesn't matter. Forget him into the sun. They're trying to push this narrative now that essentially jokes are very dangerous and that you aren't allowed to make jokes. That's honestly what they've been trying to push for several years, and it is absolutely ridiculous. You can see here Vito saying Daff Dorman, a trans fan of Dave Chappelle, talked about in his most recent special, has passed. Activists are already trying to spin this as proof that jokes end people, ignoring the fact that Dorman was a huge supporter and defender of Dave's comedy. You can see this tweet here. Phobia kills people. Dave Chappelle actions had led to real-world consequences. I bet you he's not even going to miss sleep over this. He's probably having a good laugh while sharing, quote, triggered memes with his friends. I don't even think Dave Chappelle is on Twitter, to be honest with you, in order to share memes. And you can see Daff Dorman herself saying, punching down requires you to consider yourself superior to another group. Dave Chappelle doesn't consider himself better than me in any way. He isn't punching up or punching down. He's punching lines. That's his job, and he's the master of his craft. Sticks and stones on that Daphne. Sorry. So Daphne herself obviously has no issue with Chappelle, and this is, further illustrated by when we look at how the critics reviewed the Chappelle comedy special. I think it was Dave Chappelle Rotten Tomatoes. I know I spelled all of that wrong, but it'll be fine because Google is good. Critics giving it a 35% with 17 reviews agreeing or culminating that score. Let's see what the audience gave it. Oh, 99% with 39,000 reviews. Sticks and Stones registers as a temper tantrum, the product of a man who wants it all, money, fame, influence, without having to answer to anyone. He doesn't have to answer to anybody. That mere idea is ridiculous. Nobody should feel like they need to answer for jokes. Like dropping on a rascally uncle who doesn't know or doesn't care how much he's disappointing you. Okay. Sticks and Stones exists as a defiant design to intentionally offend large swaths of the audience. Really? That's odd, given that 99% positive audience review score. Which swath of the audience was it meant to offend? Wait a minute. I get it. It's just a big brain move by Dave Chappelle to offend mainstream fake woke media, who are mostly comprised of guilty white liberals who are constantly offended on other people's behalf. He knows that this is good marketing, so he's probably correct to offend them. You've got our attention, pal. You just haven't delivered the funny. 1.5 out of 4. Ultimately, it feels like a stale work from a comedian who's once known for truly boundary-pushing comedy. So, translation, yes, it's clearly boundary-pushing because he's making fun of protected classes, but we don't like the boundaries that he's pushing because it's the ones we've established to protect these people. Just look, for example, at how Twitter reacts. It is a well-known, not often spoken about fact that you can't make jokes about this group of people on Twitter. You literally can't. They'll ban you. It's like the one thing that I can think of that's nearly, well, there's a few of them, right? But you can't even make a good-hearted, I was joking around with trans friends on Twitter before and I've been banned. It's ridiculous. People act like if you're trans that you can't have bants. You can't have friends who rib you. That's what friends do. Now, obviously, the over-the-line rough stuff, sure, but that's not the majority of what I see. But mostly that's because it's been cultivated to be a bannable offense on Twitter. Now, the article itself, of course, goes on to say, Daphne Dorman, a San Francisco-based comedian. Why is it a comedian? Why does that even matter? I didn't know comedian was gendered. Dorman was at the center of controversy recently after she was referenced by Dave Chappelle in a stand-up special that some people call transphobic. Dorman, however, was laughing the hardest at the trans joke in his practice set, the comedian set. Hours before news of her passing started to circulate online, Dorman posted what appears to be a goodbye message saying she was sorry. I've thought a lot about this morning. How do you say goodbye and I'm sorry? And I love you to all the beautiful souls you know for the last time. And I don't want to go through that. I mean, the hard truth of the matter is folks with gender dysphoria have an exceedingly high rate of self-deletion, something like 41%, as I had no idea, but learned that you aren't allowed to put video games on sale for 41% off, lest you offend people as well. Admittedly, these folks don't have it easy. They've got a tough road to hoe, but that doesn't mean that you have to treat all of them with kids' gloves. As far as I understand from the trans folks that I know, they just want to be treated like anyone else, like everyone else. And the fact of the matter is, if you're going to be treated like anyone else, that includes getting joked about. And the media doesn't like that because they weaponize this group of people to push their own narratives, to prop up and suppress jokes and suppress free speech. Look, I know that some of my viewers have some strong opinions. You know, I've always said live and let live. If it's not infringing on my and someone else's rights, and it's not, you know, hurting anybody, then you do you, all right? And this type of, you know, weaponizing this woman's passing by the media is the lowest of the low. Disgusting. You can look through these articles here, right? In an unexpected epilogue, Chappelle tells the story about Dorman attending many of his shows and laughing at every joke. Dorman reportedly thanked Chappelle for normalizing trans folks. Which is it? It always seems that the perpetually offended on everyone else's behalf simply don't have a leg to stand on. And today, the continued attack on Dave Chappelle by the media proves it. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.